Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this very special impromptu live with Janine here. This is another Siege of Ottawa special updates. We are Saturday night on February 19. Janine, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Jean-Claude. Hi, everybody.
How's it going, Janine?
Good. Really good.
Holy shit, Janine, what a crazy day. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking a few minutes here with me.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to do maybe a 25-minute, 30-minute quick update. There's a few news items that we want to share with you guys tonight before you go to bed so that you can integrate everything here and maybe take some comfort with some of the news that we're about to share here. Now, of course, all of us today had a bit of a gut punch with the press conference where the truckers were announcing that they were temporarily, at least, retreating to maybe regroup and then to come back either on foot or with a legal challenge. That was the update. And I apologize for that walk outside. It was so windy, you guys couldn't hear most of what I said there on my phone. So I do apologize. But of course, this is the live stream life of a YouTuber here. So let's get into some of these news articles here today. The first one that really struck me was this one here. Trudeau, of course, this was Becker News. Trudeau goes full fascist, announces an enemy list, quote unquote. So he's given permission here to the Ottawa police to create a list of enemies of all of those who were standing up for their rights. Janine, I thought they won. What the hell? Why are they pushing like this? Exactly.
Yeah. Doesn't that sound like fascism?
Well, indeed, totalitarianism. You can add a lot of isms in here. Absolutely fascinating. Let me bring up 2 or 3 news items here, and then I'll get you to pull some cards because there's more to this story. So it's not just that they're creating this list of enemies. And again, it's funny because it's total gaslighting. On one hand, he's saying that he's putting this emergency act in place and will respect constitutional rights. Yet he's saying if you're exercising constitutional right to protest your government, of course you're on the enemies list. So Canadians, are we paying attention? Even if you don't agree with the convoy, listen to what he just said here. This is a problem for our democracy, of course. Now, the police chief here says that the Trudeau regime will now be monitoring journalists to combat misinformation. So this was retweeted by Viva Frey earlier. He was here earlier today too. I missed him by about that much on the street. It was hard with all of the kerfuffle. I wanted to talk to him in person. At any rate, the police chief here is saying that he's not done his work and that he's going to make sure that the information that's coming out is factual and legitimate. So basically, the police forces here under the auspices of the Emergency Act now have the power to fact check and to distribute correct information and to determine what is incorrect information. That is scary. Again, if they won, why are they so worried about maybe some information going out there? They've reclaimed the territory, so to speak. So let me bring up the last one. Again, on the same line here, Canada, Ottawa Police Chief, if you're involved in any protests, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with your financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. This investigation will go on for months. We can play the clips. You guys just go look at that Twitter here. This is him saying that. Janine, this is completely, it doesn't make any sense. Let me tell you why. This guy here, Daniel Bulford, an RCMP ex-officer who quit and then was supporting the Freedom Convoy, was arrested and now released. You can go and check out this tweet. I just tweeted this a couple of minutes ago, and he's explaining that he was released without charges. So on one hand, the police is saying that this investigation is going to go for months and they're going to prosecute you to the extent of the law, yet they had all these people in custody and they let them go. Just like last night, there was a big catch and release. Zot, which is another journalist who was arrested yesterday for misdemeanors, was also let go with no charges. So Janine, what the hell's going on? What's going on with this regime? Why are they still spinning here, even though ostensibly they've just now retaken control of Ottawa? Janine.
Well, there's a few things. We're looking at a big movie. We got that part. So that lends itself to the movie theory. Okay. But it could also be that they've really truly lost and they know it. Even if they gained the hill, they really lost on the world stage. They are looking so bad. Okay. And now that's just adding fuel to the fire, which that moves me over to the movie aspect of it. Okay. They're obviously just posturing because they could have charged all these people today and didn't, and yesterday.
Yeah. again, they had them in custody. They had in custody for hours. They could have processed them. So what are we seeing here? Are they doing all of this and huffing and puffing because they know, in fact, that perhaps, well, there's two things. We're going to get it to the second item here that might be jumping the gun, so to speak. But before we get to that second item is about the products and some of the illegalities or the frauds that are just about to hit the airwaves. There's also the idea that perhaps this Emergencies Act doesn't pass the test here and won't stand maybe past Monday, and they're hoping to quash any person's idea of maybe standing up for their rights here until such time as that article is quashed here by government or by the Senate on Monday. Yeah. Is that what's going on? Are they trying to go overboard here because they know that legally they don't have a foot to stand on?
Let's have a look.
Let's take another pulse on that one, and then we'll get into the other reason that perhaps they're accelerating all of these moves.
Okay. Smoke and mirrors. So that's gossip and innuendo. And they've made deals to say that. So that moves over to the movie aspect. Okay. So some of these people have made deals in the background and they have to say certain things. So we've got, and they had to get it out there. So the idea is to clarify or verbally say what the deep state dark cult would do if really they were in charge, which I don't believe they are anymore. So I think we got more posturing here and more outing of the sort of the bad guy plan. That's what I'm getting. Yeah, because underneath it is truth and integrity is going to prevail. And so that leads me to believe we got some of the movie going on with those statements made by those heads of police or whatever.
Wow. Okay. There's a couple of other things I wanted to mention from today too. There was a couple of people who told me on the street that the energy shifted in Ottawa where the crowd no longer fears the police. So something happened in the mindset. So I'm not sure what that is yet. It's like a trigger, something to the effect that maybe, okay, that's it. That's all you got. Or they know they're losing basically because of all the press coverage we're getting this afternoon and the police chief still spinning his wheels right now as we speak. Maybe that's it, because even here where I am, people are still dancing and screaming in the streets and freedom and putting out fireworks. I'm like, wait, didn't those guys just retreat? It doesn't sound like a retreat. So it very much sounds like a victory, although it's disguised right now. And of course, if you're watching mainstream news, it very much looks like a defeat for the convoy and the freedom goers. But if you're here in Ottawa, that's not clear yet as to whether or not it's a defeat or a win. And that's interesting because Cliff was saying also that 19 was the big demarcation day. He's been saying that now for a month and a half. And of course, today was that big day. But he said it could take until, he said, I think 4 days. So maybe up until the 23rd to discover why today was really that big day. So perhaps that sentiment on the Hill where people are no longer afraid and still in that freedom frequency is an indication here of that change that has yet to be really materialized or understood by the populace. So we'll come back to that in a second. Now, Janine, this one here, so you and I have been tracking this for a while, but we just had this announcement. This is on Reuters here, exclusive, that Trump's Truth Social app is set to release here on Monday. So basically in 2 days from now on the 21st. That brings it 1 day before the 222, right? So this famous 222 that we've been talking about from the woo-woo side and also from the letter boards that we can't name here, they were also talking about this very specific date. Why is this important here? Set this up for the audience for a second.
Well, there's a lot of talk on the back channels that this would be the most likely time the whole coming out with the EBS and stepping out of the shadows. So it feels like a lot of people, and one of the main ones I shared today was Tesla's niece. I can't remember her name, but I shared it on all my social medias. So you'll find it there if you just go looking for it. She explains exactly why, like she doesn't know for a fact, but she's a lot closer than a lot of us are to sort of what's going on there, what that team is up to. And she says from her sort of putting things together, she figures it'll be likely something going down this week and probably the day after the Trump Truth Social comes out, that he retakes his his stance. And when I looked at US just a few days ago on Tarot by Janine, first I did Canada, then I did US, it did look like he was going to be stepping out of the shadows. And like we know he's shadow governing there as far as I'm concerned anyway. And yeah, he'll probably step out, and they're thinking that day would be the day. But, you know, we don't know, but.
There's two things here with this EBS. We're also getting reports that people are saying to stock up here, that we might have some intermittent outages and all that, all relating to maybe big moves here happening in the next couple of days. So first, let's pull some cards, take another beat, because you and I have been looking at this for a while here, and the goalpost has been changing in time here. This is a very much a strategic spiritual war. But let's take a pulse now to see if, in fact, Mr. T would come out of the shadows here in the next couple of days. What can the card say?
Well, this card says where it stands right now, and there has been a lot of setbacks. And she even mentions that. And she says she doesn't want to go into what those were, but there has been a lot of setbacks, because fives are setbacks and holdups, and also frustrating sort of step backwards. Okay. And it's definitely been considered as a date, and they're sitting there thinking about it as an option. So, you know, we're at the very end, so it's real soon anyway, because a lot of things have already gone down that needed to, because that's a 10, and 10 say they're like most of the things look ready to go here. Okay, so here's the near future. So we've got an ace and an 8. So barring some big thing happens that steps them away from it, it's a really big potential this week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure looks like it. There's a person here that keeps repeating the same thing. JC, send Janine a warning vid from truckers. Not sure how to share otherwise. Truckers strike Monday, perhaps. And there's also something about stocking up on food. So maybe this is related here. So let's talk about those warnings here of being prepared here for maybe some unexpected delays, outages.
I know what they're talking about too.
Okay.
I know what she's talking about. Okay, so what they're talking about is they're calling for on the 21st, everybody to step out of their work and not go back in Canada. Well, they can do it all over the world if they want, until the Trudeau government exits.
Wow. And if that is put in place for some reason, and if there's a movement to that effect, that could lead into, again, what some of the WebBot data was suggesting, that by mid-March or the Ides of March, we would be looking at a reconstituted Canada. And you and I pulled some cards on that twice, and twice you came up with, yeah, pretty much that looks that way for the Ides of March. So a lot going on here. Again, the momentum and the energy of universe is behind humans. It's behind freedom. It's not behind the old structures, and we're seeing that now by their actions. Wow. Okay, let me bring up this news article here and see if I can bring this one up. You posted this a little bit earlier today. Now, you and I have done some pay-per-views on this subject before. It's a little bit touchy here for YouTube. These rumors have been around for quite some time. She's been on the circuit for quite some time, but now it's coming back up again. And when we did the last show last month with Julie, where we looked at JT, our Canadian Mr. T's birth chart, and also Canada's birth chart, we were looking at the next couple of days here as big revelations as to where the money comes from, where the sexual secrets are, and right on cue now, this is starting to make headline news again. So explain this carefully here using some codes words for the audience here. What are we looking at?
Yeah. So she names Justin's father, or who they say is his father, or another prime minister of Canada from a long time ago. The last guy that pulled this emergency act, actually, Pierre, right?
Pierre, yeah.
Yep. So she names him as one of her, I'll say, abusers. I guess I could say that. So she names him as one of her, you know, a continual one, apparently. And she's just starting to launch into basically how all the globalists would meet. And I'm pretty sure that clip's from quite a while ago, before people were talking about globalists, pretty sure. Anyway, how they would all meet, and all of them were into the kind of thing that was being done to her at that time. She would have been quite young then too.
Right.
So that's coming around, circulating around. And in
And
the
that's
first sentence, she names him as her.
right. And just for the audience members here, oh, sorry, there's a little bit of the delay. I didn't mean to cut you, Janine. There's news today, of course, of this procurer for Epstein, who was also now just found suicided, I guess, in his jail cell. And now, so the rumors are that perhaps Ghislaine Maxwell is not sleeping too well tonight. So this is the second time that people disappear, even though they're on suicide watch and there's supposed to be cameras. But just conveniently, I think the cameras were offline or, you know, down for repair, just exactly when this guy was suicided. I won't bring up the clip here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But that also ties in, Janine, to what we were talking about with Prince Andrew a couple of weeks ago, and of the latest news last week, where he settled out of court with huge sums of money here. And we speculated that perhaps in that settlement they were trying to hide not the father's bad deeds, as she's bringing up here in the mainstream news, but perhaps the son's bad deeds. Let's again take a pulse on the cards here. Is that also set to make the news, perhaps even on Truth Social starting on Monday?
So you're talking about the junior Trudeau?
JT's bad deed, yes.
Oh boy. So dirty secrets. Yeah. And a lot of stress around it. So they're aware of it, which could even be why there's so much stress in that camp and why they're coming out double fisting everybody, right? They're gonna track everybody down, and it's like that's all they got left. That's all they got left, because they're incredibly worried as we speak what's coming out here.
Wow.
Okay? So that team, like deep state, dark cults, dirty little secrets. Yeah. And the fact that they're absolutely part of that bunch.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The schmarm is coming out.
Wow. So just how you and I have not been sleeping for the last couple of weeks, and of course we have nothing to reproach ourselves with. We're working on the light. Could you imagine how much they're not sleeping, knowing that all of this stuff is about to break into the mainstream reality here? And here's the thing: this trucker convoy has opened the door for many, many more normies to wake up, not just to their rights being trampled on, not just the socialism, fascism, and totalitarianism that we now face here in Canada, but people are now also waking up to the fact that their banks are working in collusion with the government, and they can seize your assets now without any court order if they don't agree with what you're saying. They're now seeing that the CBC now is also intimidating people for supporting rights and freedom. We've seen that this week, which is absolutely horrifying. So I think a lot of Canadians are more open now to perhaps listening to this information that is about to hit the airwaves. So wow, crazy times indeed. So let me bring up this last news article for tonight. Janine, you had texted this also on your Telegram, and it's also on your Twitter. This one is a little bit touchy also to get into, and some of the warnings here. My buddy Joe last night or a couple of days ago, he got a strike on this channel for talking about something very similar to that. So let's use a little bit of code words. The audience can read what's on the screen now, but set this up here and why also perhaps Mr. Global right now is shitting the bed.
So there's all kinds of dumping of stocks, and all connected to these companies that you're seeing up on the screen there. Okay, so what does that tell you is going to happen soon, right? Some stuff's going to drop. And we've known that stuff for a long time about what really is going on with these companies, and really who they're aligned with, and what did they really make that they called the cure, that we call the cure. What really is that? Okay, so that's all. I think that's all about to drop, and that's going to be another, huge eye opener. I mean, like around what Cliff's been saying, where people just go ballistic and start hunting down people.
Yeah, and
push
so
that on others.
when you and I decoded Premier Ford's complete language reversal a couple of days ago, we suspected that probably this is it. It's not just the Emergency Act failing here in Ontario, some of the political pressure, which is big. We can't diminish that for any means, but perhaps that this stuff is also coming out, and he wanted to distance himself from that. Now, I did a pay-per-view just a couple of days ago with Jim Willie, and Jim Willie went into big detail about this, how these companies right now, and this is mainstream news, their stock prices have already started to fall. There's also reports, substantiated reports of them sending notices to their investors that the stocks are going to fall further. So they know something is about to come up. And as you know, you and I had been reporting last month that in these court cases, they were asking the judge for a 70-year stay on proceedings where they did not have to divulge their trials and information related to the trials here to the public. So clearly there's something to hide there if they need 70 or 75 years in order to show that in the discovery process. So that's very fascinating. Now, okay, let's pull some cards on that too. Is this going to be tied in perhaps with Truth Social, with the Trump initiative, or is there something else parallel running with this as well? Is this another white hat operation that, of course, has been long going, but is about to hit the airwaves as well? What can the cards tell us? What's going on?
So if you read further into that article, it says, so the mainstream media won't touch it, but Wall Street is touching it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not letting it go. So they're the ones that are going to out it. That's what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it involves them.
Obviously. Their money. Yeah, their money. Yeah.
So because of that, they're not going to honor the code.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, and that kind of what this looks like. It looks like there's no stopping that one. It doesn't matter. And I'm not necessarily getting white hats around it. I think it's a natural thing. That's
Hold on. As you were saying there, I just got a download. So if Wall Street wants to put out, Wall Street's never on our side. Okay, so don't expect for a second that suddenly they want to be on our side. Mm-hmm. Are they threatening to put this out because they know the new financial system's coming up and they're going to lose big time in it, and they're trying to use this as a negotiation piece to better their position here in the transition?
Well, that would make sense to why this card was in the middle. Okay, this card in the middle is like the end and the beginning of something brand new. And this is an ending card. So they got nothing to lose anyway.
Right.
They're all changing anyway. And they probably are, they must already know that, because bankers know that. Lots of bankers know that. And a lot of us humans know that. So they must know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. This has been coming for a while, right? Hidden things that are hidden are all coming out.
As I was asking that, everybody's saying in the chat, hey, it's 11/11, big confirmation there. Yeah. Wow.
Like it's astrological that all this stuff's coming out. With that Pluto aspect that Julie was talking about. There's a whole bunch.
That full moon we just had, also the discovery with the full moon, and now this Pluto return on the 22nd. So we're in all of those alignments right now. Absolutely big time. Wow. Okay, let me take one question, guys, because I told Janine here we'd cut this, try to cut this into a 25-minute segment. She has another tarot by Janine to produce here tonight, and we were delayed a little bit here today, just technical stuff here. So Jane is asking, let me see if we can bring that on the screen. It's an interesting question. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on, I'm trying to get this right here on my laptop. Why would Apple allow Truth Social to be available on the app? Because remember the Go Brandon song and all these things, when it's talking against the government, suddenly, oh, it's hate speech, it's this and that, and they're disallowed from Apple. They all collude together. Why now would this be allowed? Great question, Jane. Let's see what the cards can say.
Because Apple's secretly been turned into the good. So didn't the big guy, the big head guy, step down?
Hold on for a second.
Let's keep looking here. Yeah, this is in the past.
There's huge fireworks again. I wish I could run over there and show you. It's absolutely magnificent sight. Okay, keep going. Sorry about that.
This was in the past, so it's been taken over. Apple is secretly in the hands of Mr. T and the white hats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you like that? Yeah, they're in cahoots now to save their bacon or whatever. Yep,
Wow.
we're making deals because they don't have a choice. They had to capitulate. Right?
Everything you're talking about now lines up with the predictions here that February 19th was the start of a huge transformation. So Truth Social, these actual secrets coming out, all of these changes here, the fraud being exposed. And here's the thing with the fraud. As soon as fraud is exposed, the liability shield is null and void. So that means that class action lawsuits can come against these companies who
Yeah.
up until now were protected by government decree. That will no longer be the case the minute fraud is exposed. Go
Yeah.
ahead with the last card.
As you were saying that, I pulled this card. Okay, so the whole energy is moving to heart loving. So it's going to support people that are loving and coming from the heart with integrity and love. It's not supporting things that aren't. And we talked about that months ago. The energy in the world spiritually will not support corruption. It's all getting cleared out. It's like the light shining on it. So this is just part of that process.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's great news. I feel a little bit better because I was a little bit, again, I'm here in Centertown with a lot of people and I'm very empathic, generally speaking. But when you're in proximity to all of these people also and being in the trance with these people for the last 3 weeks here, reporting all of this and hearing all the love frequency. And I don't know if you saw that last video of Viva Frey where, let me see if I can bring that up just to show the audience here how absolutely amazing this was. Viva was on, I believe it was Bank Street or Kent Street, and all of the crowd was singing "We Love You" to the police officers, and the police officers essentially responded with 2 tear gas grenades. So it's just like the visuals of that. I think it's this one here. Yeah. So let me see if I can bring it up for the audience and actually play that clip. And again, just to show you how powerful. And this is why perhaps they feel they have already lost the police.
Well, they're wearing names on there.
We love you.
We love you. We love you. What the
Right. What the hell is that, right? Everybody around the world saw that. And even though the police now are trying to get after misinformation and all of these alternative medias for promulgating that is in fact true. That's not an altered clip. And so fascinating to watch. And for the mainstream media to say that these people were terrorists and bigots and violence, this clip here in and of itself quashes that altogether. And it brings the frequency high to end the show on the We Love You. We, Janine and I, love you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here tonight on this impromptu live show. And thank you. We didn't have much time for questions, but thank you for sharing and participating. And if you have questions and comments regarding what's going on now, please put them in the content box below. I will be following up on that tomorrow, and I will adjust my reporting to give you what you're looking for, or maybe report on some of those gaps here in our media and in our analysis of the media, because again, the fog of woo is very, very thick. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic. Have a great evening. Merci beaucoup, Janine, and we'll see you tomorrow. Au revoir.
Au revoir.